Hello, everybody. This is Gerald Celente, and it's Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. And we're very, very honored, as we are every Wednesday, to have with us a man of men, a true American spirit, not only in words, but in deeds and knowledge, someone who knows the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and the rights that we've lost and the Constitution that we've lost, and how he's trying to do everything to bring it back. Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, thanks for being here today.
Pleasure to be with you, my dear friend, and an early Buona Pasqua.
Yeah, Buona Pasqua. That's and it's Easter time coming this Sunday, and you have an article here too about some about what Easter and what it represents. And the major part of this article that's coming out tomorrow, it's really important. When American colonists were oppressed by British governance, the word most frequently uttered in pamphlets, editorials, and sermons was not safety or taxes. It was freedom. Yep, it was freedom. Something that doesn't exist anymore. I'll tell you what to do. I'm the governor of California. You get into your home. I'm the governor of New York. Close down your business. I'm the governor of Michigan. Close down your schools. I'll tell you what to do. And listen to me. If you don't get the jab, you got no job. I am the president of the United States. If you work for the federal government and you don't get a jab, you don't have a job. Freedom?
Well, the government doesn't take freedom seriously. Occasionally, judges do the right thing. The parody that you just did was mimicking not Trump, but Biden, who signed an executive order saying that all entities that employ more than 100 people had to require those human beings to be jabbed. Now, where did they come up with that number? If people being together means sickness, why did they draw the line between 99 and 100? But that's where they drew it. And the Supreme Court said, can't do it. So it was invalidated. Now, not all courts have done that. And the Supreme Court doesn't, as you know, always do the right thing. But in that instance, they basically said only Congress could enact such a statute. I would argue that even Congress can't enact such a statute because you own your own body. You decide what goes in your body. The Congress doesn't decide and the president doesn't decide. But to your point, freedom is not taken seriously anymore.
No.
To your point, the pursuit of happiness is not taken seriously anymore. What is taken seriously is the authority of the government to tell us how to live, whether the government is regulating banks, causing inflation, fighting wars that are undeclared. That is taken seriously. But individual human personal choice, no longer taken seriously. And unlike the Canadian truckers who resisted, some went to jail, some lost their jobs, but they resisted. The American public behaved as sheep last Easter and the Easter before.
Oh, yeah. Remember that if your mother was dying, it wouldn't allow you to go into the hospital to see her. Remember those things?
Correct. One of my closest friends to this day weeps, a grown, mature, educated adult, at the fact that he was not permitted to say goodbye to his father because the father was in a hospital at the height of COVID and they wouldn't let him in. He walked into the hospital. He came out in a morgue gurney 5 days later, having said goodbye to none of his children and grandchildren, all of whom were made to wait outside the hospital. This is what the government did to us.
Yeah. This is America. This is the country that goes overseas to bring freedom and democracy to other countries, right?
Right.
That's the BS. That's the bullshit line that they keep putting out there.
Freedom and democracy at the point of a gun, George W. Bush. all that does is breed violence and bloodshed and hatred. It doesn't export democracy. Democracy comes from the heart. There are cultures in this world that reject democracy, whether it's thrust down their throats or whether they could choose it naturally. What business is it of the federal government of the United States what form of government other countries have?
Again, what form of government that other countries have? Do you know about this one? This is from AFP, Agency France Presse. So it's not like a made-up thing. Again, bringing freedom and democracy. A woman in northern France is being put on trial on charges of insulting President Emmanuel Macron after describing him as filth in a Facebook post. The woman risks a fine of 12,000 euros. She was arrested Friday and held in custody. The complaint focused on a post on a Facebook page on March 21st, the day before Macron gave a lunchtime interview on TF1 TV. Quote, she wrote, "This piece of filth is going to address you at 1 p.m. It's always on television that we see this filth," she wrote. For that, she was arrested.
Wow.
And being fined. I call him a little lousy son of a bitch, an arrogant little boy who thinks who the hell he was, a little Rothschild clown, a little nothing of nothing. Oh, they would kill me for saying that if they're putting her in jail for calling her filth, calling him filth.
This is what has become of the Western world. A lady silently stood outside of a abortion clinic in London saying the Hail Mary to herself. Police said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm saying the Hail Mary." It's a crime to pray outside of an abortion clinic. They locked her up. They eventually dropped the charges because of the international outrage. But that shows you the mentality of governments in the West, in the West, in supposedly Judeo-Christian liberal, lowercase l, countries.
Yeah, and this your article, you talk about what the colonists fought about.
Freedom.
Freedom. And you mentioned the word happiness. If you read George Washington's farewell address, he mentions happiness in it a number of times. You never hear that word being spoken anymore. It's a dirty word. And again, we talked about the stupidity of not letting you see your dying parents or the other moronic things. Remember, you had to stand 6 feet apart because the wind blows exactly in straight lines in 6 feet. Remember when you got in an airplane? You could eat and drink without your mask on, people all around you, but you got to put it back on when you stop eating and drinking because the COVID knows when you're eating and drinking and it won't bother you. Right. And when you walk in a restaurant, you got to wear that mask. But when you sit down, it's fine. You can take it off and eat because COVID doesn't go at table length or table height. This is the kind of stupidity that is running us. And you said what the American people are. I don't know the words that you said, but I see it as a cowardly country where the people aren't standing up and fighting for their freedom, their life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Two comments to buttress what you just said about the COVID knowing to stop at the table height and to stop when you're eating. Remember what they also called this? Follow the science. As if that were scientific. What we were following were the dictators.
Yep.
And secondly, people who mock the pursuit of happiness. What did Jefferson say were our natural rights? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is an unhappy country.
Yeah.
Dreary, dark, unhappy. The government is leading us to World War III. Government wants to take our guns. Government wants to regulate the banks into inflation. These are very, very dark and unhappy times. The public needs to react to it at the voting booth, or we need a soft, nonviolent revolution, a revolution in the hearts of men and women. That the two-party system has not served us well. It has sapped our liberty, sapped our strength, and destroyed our prosperity.
What's there? A revolution, how'd you say it, in the hearts and
a revolution in the hearts and minds of men,
Yep.
which will recognize that the two men and women, which will recognize that the two-party system has not preserved liberty. It has destroyed our liberty. It has sapped our prosperity. It has put gray clouds over our happiness instead of the sunshine we once knew. Ronald Reagan said America should be like a city on the hill where the sun shines. All right, we all have dark days. We all have things in our lives that don't go well.
Oh, yeah.
But we haven't had a good day in this country in years.
We're going to take a break now. We've got a lot more going on. And this is why you subscribe to the Trends Journal.
The Trends Journal, the best investment you could make, because it's the best investment into your mind, and it can change how you look at the world.
Over the last 30 years, Gerald Celente has been more accurate about predicting what would be happening than anyone else I'm aware of.
The Trends Journal is one of the greatest sources of information, and and it really is. You're predicting these things well ahead of time. I would encourage everyone to go grab the latest copy.
Been a Trends Journal subscriber for 20 years. I just have to commend you. What you guys have put together in your latest Trends Journal, there's nothing like this out there.
Sir, everything that you predicted about the economy, you were absolutely right. So I have followed you all this time. So please take a look at the Trends Journal.
You correctly forecast that the Fed would hike rates quite aggressively, correctly said that initially gold and silver would drop as the Fed starts to raise rate to 1.5% and above. When we spoke last, Bitcoin was around 49,000. You said you expect to drop, and if it drops below 30, 35, then it could really drop.
Trends Journal, which I would encourage people to go and check out. It's actually a 200-page document, pure data-driven analysis.
Gerald Celente, the top trends forecaster in the world. Gerald, you had an interesting call back